Oh, what?
Oh, okay.
That's sick.
Yeah, I had a little fun doing it. Alright. Try those on, or I got these.
No.
Check. You cannot.
Well, like
You can't hear me right now?
Oh yeah, I can hear you.
You're good? Alright, I'm good. Yeah, I can hear myself. Probably won't be able to hear her very well. Alright, did you watch the first one that I did with her? Or not?
Yeah, I did.
Alrighty, so you saw the school bus and everything?
Mm-hmm.
Pull your story back to the beginning. So a little background about you. Well, we meet a little less than a month ago at this point.
Mm-hmm.
That was a pretty cool little experience down there in Schenectady. I guess the biggest thing that I'm trying to do with this whole concept is touch anybody that's listening. Because the way I'm looking at it is like, there used to be this huge stigma of the whole concept of addiction and alcoholism and everything that surrounded it. And I think at this point in time, it's kind of been broke down by a good number of people. And I don't know, I'm just trying to get the word out there that, especially the story before the addiction kind of took place. Because for me, when I was at rehab, like, you're meeting these people as they're sobering up, some for the first time, some for the 15th, 20th, 30th time. But you're meeting them in a sober environment, and like you can see the good in them, where most people out on the streets, when they see an addict or an alcoholic just wandering the streets, they're like, oh man, they're another one of them.
Right.
I'm like, no, but there's a human there. There's a person. They have a story. They had a childhood. They have a mother, father somewhere, brothers, sisters. And so I'm just trying to paint that picture of like, we're all good people and something kind of just overtook us. So, I mean, my goal here, if I get an email or a call 2 years down the road from somebody that says, I changed their life for the better, that's all I'm really hoping to do. If it goes big and goes somewhere, awesome. If it doesn't, I'm having a blast doing it. I'm getting you all stories and let's just have some fun. But I guess I'll shut up and back up and let you start from the beginning as to where you're from, who you are, how you got there. Like I mentioned, we met a few weeks back, and so I barely know anything about you, so just keep that in mind that like whoever's listening to this has no idea who you are, and they probably don't even know what the word Schenectady means or how to spell it.
All right. So, well, I'm originally from Saratoga.
Garrett, by the way.
Yeah. I was born in Saratoga. I would say my childhood started off relatively normal, and then everything kind of shifted.
I love that word in sobriety. Normal.
Well, I mean, nothing is what is normal,
Exactly. And I feel like I kind of had that same living growing up, but go ahead.
So my father ended up having an affair on my mother, and that kind of shifted everyone's dynamic in like the family household.
Okay, so, just for frame of reference, how old are you?
I was probably around 5 or 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and you were born what year?
1992.
You're 92. Okay, I'm 90. So okay, I'm talking mid-late 90s.
So after that, we ended up moving to my grandmother's house because she had a house in downtown Saratoga.
Okay.
And my mother worked as a social worker, and she had such a big heart, and she had a tendency to allow individuals to come into the house and basically just give them shelter, give them food, give them a place to stay while they worked on themselves.
That's awesome.
And it was for a certain period. Sorry.
No, you're fine, and literally take your time. Yeah. I've got all afternoon, and I have nowhere to be.
All right.
So I'm just here to listen.
So while we were living above my grandmother's house, she helped raise me, and I was sheltered for a long period of my life. We were Christian, so we lived in a very religious household. Sunday school every Sunday, every Wednesday. Church. I couldn't even go trick or treating because
Yeah.
So Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. You're good. Okay, so you're growing up. So okay, how old are we when we moved into grandma's?
Uh, Probably around 7 or 8.
7 or 8 years
Yeah.
old. Okay, and when you say we,
Mm.
who are we
Me
referring
and my
to?
mother, and it was a woman living with us that she had allowed to stay. She
Okay.
had met through her job.
Yep.
Um, so we were there for a while. My father was out of the picture. He was in Jersey at the time, and we eventually ended up getting a house. He came back into the picture, and it was a weird dynamic. It was me, my mother. Now another person had entered the household that she had worked with.
Another one that she's helping out.
Yes, so there was 2 individuals and my father, and my mother was so angry at my father for his affair that there was a lot of domestic violence.
Yep.
And
All right, so Dad's moving back up into your life of living. Um, when he moves back in, did he just need a place to stay, or did he really want to come back into the family and try to make things work?
so he was trying to come back,
Yeah.
and he would work constantly. He was basically trying to provide for the times that he wasn't there for his absence.
Okay.
And like I said, him and my mother had a very volatile relationship. She was very angry towards him for the affair, and there was a lot of domestic violence happening in the house.
Yeah.
Her perpetuating that to him.
Yeah.
And so that kind of just like made me dissociate a lot, because I just be in my room hearing the violence, hearing the yelling and screaming, and I just kind of became lost in my own world.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know, I was such an awkward kid growing up. You know, like I always felt uncomfortable in my own skin, and I feel like that was because I'm from Saratoga. There's a lack of diversity there, and I was also struggling with my sexuality at the time.
Okay.
So I didn't feel comfortable being who I was meant to be, and I remember my mother. She also had a lot of mental health issues, and she was on a lot of benzodiazepines. And I was like 13 when I started taking like Xanax.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, like that was my first drug of choice.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and then I remember I probably like late middle school. I finally got like a core group of friends.
Where were you going to school?
Saratoga Springs High School.
At the high? Okay.
Yeah. So I got a core group of friends finally, and I remember the first time like we smoked pot. Like I went to a dugout in the park, and the experience was, it felt good. You know, like it felt good to just be outside of myself.
Did you say dugout in the park?
Yeah.
Okay. Please do describe.
So it's kind of like where like the baseball field was. And like I remember it was raining, and we just like went in there and just like lit up a joint.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right at the field. Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right.
Right. Basically. Right.
Was this like one of the hangout spots?
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
So when fast forward to high school, that's kind of when I started like drinking and stuff. I didn't really like it. I remember the first time I had actually gotten drunk. Like I actually raided my parents' liquor cabinet because my mother was a heavy alcoholic drinker, and I blacked out on the living room floor.
Gotcha. Was that your whole life that she was a drinker?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, not my whole life. Like she, like I said, like she did the best that she could. At some point, maybe when I was 13 or 14, something happened. Like she had like a mental breakdown, and that's when her drinking seriously like sped off to the races, to the point where she was passing out every night. I had to pick her up off the floor. You know, my father really wasn't there, or didn't really have a concern about it, because he just felt like he wanted his space away. You know, he was trying to protect himself from her anger and aggression. And then there were times when her anger and aggression would be redirected towards me. You know, so there was a lot of chaos in the household, even though from the outside looking in, it seems normal.
Yeah, you find that to be pretty common. I mean, even myself, I was like that. I described it on the last podcast where, like I basically had 3 different personalities. You know, I was sober Justin, drunk at home Justin, and then drunk out in public Justin. It was kind of like, you know, you put that facade on the second you walk out the front door. Like everything's perfectly normal. But so I know exactly what you're talking about. But anyways.
So So after high school, I ended up going to the College of St. Rose, and I remember my freshman year. That was when I finally started feeling like I could be someone. I really
Mm-hmm.
wanted to fit in, so I started drinking heavily.
Yeah.
Like it started off like every weekend type of thing, and then it became like every night situation. And it wasn't just like casual drinking, 1 or 2 beers.
Mm-hmm.
It was, I'm staying till the keg's gone, and then we're going to another party. Like I'm like literally passing out, like puking all over the place. I was a hot mess.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
this is where I stopped you when you started telling me this because I was like, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing over across the river at RPI. It was like if there wasn't a party, I'd make one.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, keep going.
But I feel like because I was so sheltered my entire life, like I just went off to the races. And I remember, I think it was like my sophomore year, I ended up getting my own place, and I ended up getting into the rave scene and the jam band scene, and
Mm-hmm.
that's when I started like experimenting with everything. Like in my mind's eye, I wanted to experience like every dimension there was to be human.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to feel differently because how I perceive myself sober, I hated it.
Mm-hmm.
So like in a year's time frame, I tried ecstasy, Molly, LSD, DMT, ketamine, heroin. You know, I was, I think I tried meth once and didn't like it at that time.
Yeah.
Um,
You just went for it.
yeah, like literally, I was
Yeah.
like, I mean, I'm alive. Why not try it?
Right.
But alcohol was like the mainstay.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I was like 21 when I ended up trying cocaine for the first time. This was after St. Rose.
Yeah.
I ended up getting a job as a server at a restaurant.
Okay, did you graduate St. Rose?
Yeah,
What was your degree?
biochemistry.
Biochem. Oh, yeah, I knew that.
So it's funny, I started off as poli-sci, and then I switched to communication sciences and disorders, and then was kicked out of that program because I was drinking so much, and then I settled on biochemistry because I was like, well, I already have some courses in there, so I might as well just
Yeah, just fall back on biochem.
Yeah.
That's what everybody does. Yeah.
So, so I was like 21 when I first tried cocaine, and that became like the love of my life. And being like within the restaurant industry, like everyone's drinking
Yeah, it's
constantly.
rampant. Yeah.
Like it was the culture.
It pretty much goes hand in hand.
Exactly.
In that world, yeah.
So all my friends at that time were using. Like anyone who wasn't using, I had distanced myself from.
Mm-hmm.
They were either drinking heavily like me all night, or doing massive amounts of cocaine. So that was basically all my 20s, and it's weird because I I remember some parts of it, but I feel like most of it was just like a blackout,
Yeah.
But throughout that time, I lost many jobs because I was either coming to work fucked up, or I was drinking on the job, or I was just not showing up to work on it.
Yeah.
Like I would literally like stay up until 6 o'clock, had to go to work at like 9 o'clock in the morning, and say, oh, I can get a couple hours of sleep, and then sleep until like 10 p.m.
Yeah.
Like ridiculous things, and it just kept escalating and escalating, and at this point, people who were in my circle were like, dude, you need to slow down because even you're scaring us. And I'm like, who are you like to cast any stones? Like we're doing the same things. But friends started distancing themselves from me, and I just kept going.
Yeah.
Like if you weren't going to do it with me, I'd find someone who was.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember, I think I was like, I don't know, maybe like 28. I tried a year of sobriety. And because at this point, I remember a girlfriend of mine, she ended up following me to a bar because I had told her I'm just going home,
Mm-hmm.
But I was going to this bar to, buy drugs. And she ended up confronting me when I left the bar, and she was crying so much. And she's like, what are you doing with your life? Like, can't you see how you're hurting yourself? And I will never forget the pain in her eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Like back then, I just thought she was overreacting, but she was literally trying to save my life.
Right.
So after that, I reluctantly tried to be sober, and I was just white knuckling, just doing everything I can because I didn't want to break anyone's heart, even though deep down I still wanted to use,
Yeah.
So I think the next following year, my mother ended up passing away, and this was a very traumatic experience for me, I guess.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Because our relationship was tumultuous from the time I left for college to the time she ended up passing, because her addiction just kept progressing more and more and more.
Yeah.
And was plenty enough while mine was as well. But I didn't see mine as a problem. I just saw hers as the issue.
Of course. It's always everybody else.
And I remember I ended up relapsing the day before she passed. I went out all night with a friend of mine who I knew wouldn't tell anyone else. And then I ended up getting a call because she had went for a surgery like a couple days prior. And I ended up getting a call, and they basically said that she had coded. It was like 6 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like still drunk, still messed up.
Yeah.
And I remember they were asking me what to do. And at one point, she had told me that she wanted DNR, like do not resuscitate. And when the doctor asked me, what do you want to do? I panicked. I had no one around me. I wasn't there to do anything. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, in a sober world, that's not a phone call that you're ever expecting to get.
Right.
So let alone if you're out in the middle of nowhere in your brain, it's like.
Like, it's a shock.
Yeah, I wouldn't even know what kind of decision to make if I got that phone call.
So I ended up panicking. I said, resuscitator. I remember driving to the hospital and just like the state that she was in, and just like that image was ingrained to my mind. And then after that day, it was like I just fell from grace. Like I just went, put everything in my body that I could just to numb how I was feeling, because I didn't want to. There was a lot of regret on my mind of things that I could have said, that I should have said, how I wish our relationship would have been. And I would have never been able, I was not going to have the opportunity to rectify that.
Gotcha.
So that emotion that I was feeling, I just needed to numb it somehow.
Yeah.
So I ended up finding meth again, and I was using that all the time, I was spending all my money on it, and funny enough, everyone only knew about my drinking and my cocaine problem, but they didn't really know about that. So just kept progressing, and I think 3 years after, 2024, maybe 2024 actually. That's when my life just collapsed.
Gotcha.
So I ended up losing my job because, again,
What were you doing for work at the time?
I was managing a bar.
Okay.
Not the best thing to be doing when you have an addiction, but
I mean, you gotta make money, right?
Right. Yeah. But I ended up losing my job, and then I ended up getting into a car accident because it was like 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm high, out of my mind, and I'm racing the back roads of Mechanicville with a friend.
Okay.
And then next thing I know, I look to my left and I just see this deer, and he just collide with me. So I ended up losing my car, ending up getting kicked out of my place.
Yeah.
I was in a volatile relationship at that time, ended up losing that, which was probably for the better.
Yeah.
And then I was living in a rental car.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And all this happened in probably like a 4-month time span.
Yeah, that spiral effect.
Yeah, like from August to like November, everything just like one after another. And I remember like I didn't get the car back, and like the rental company was like, "Dude, like this is past your contract. What are you doing? Like we need the car." I'm like, "No."
So now you're rolling around in some Hertz car.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Literally. Like, I don't know what I thought what I was thinking, but at the time I was like, it'll work out. It'll be fine. Somehow magically they'll get money. I'll make it somehow. And then I remember I ended up I was like doing a deal, and the cops ended up tracking the car, and I saw the lights like flashing behind me. I'm like, oh.
Okay.
You know, and so like I'm literally just trying to stash everything wherever I could, hoping it would just like evaporate, but you know, it didn't. I ended up being arrested, and even then, like I didn't take it seriously. Like I was like getting my mugshot, asking if they can do it over. You know, like treating it like a photo shoot.
Yeah, like a photo shoot.
You know, and the next day they led me into court, and you know, that's kind of like when it all hit. You know,
The reality of everything.
yeah, like I had no job, no home. Like I had ostracized myself from everyone that really cared about me, you know. And now, like I was facing like 3 to 5 in prison, you know. So after that, I remember it was a CRPA of the court that put me into a shelter, and I didn't stay there for long.
Or you're in Saratoga?
Albany still.
Albany.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then I just started bouncing from friend to friend because, you know, I didn't want to be in a shelter. It's probably the safest place for me, but I was still using. And now it's probably December, and I had like worn my stay at like the few places I had to go.
Yeah.
And I remember I was like, I got off the bus for some reason, like at student campus.
And you're using or not using?
No, I was definitely, I was like still in my ears.
Still going for it. Okay.
I remember I gotten off the bus at university, and something like it was snowing, probably like 10 degrees out. I was in loafers for some reason. Like I had no jacket. And I'm like, I need help. So I ended up like calling my father, and I was like, actually texted him. I was like, I'm sorry, I have to tell you this. Like, I'm sorry that you have a son that's been reduced so low, but like I've been arrested. Like I have nothing right now. I need help. And I remember he drove to campus, gave me $10 and some boots, and he was like, I love you, but I have no place for you at this time, and left.
That would be a tough blow.
Yeah, that's kind of like when reality set in. Like, what have I done?
Yeah, I can imagine just feeling like all alone. Yeah.
So I ended up eventually going to Albany Mission, and then even after that, I just kept using. You know, like even though that was probably like my lowest, like I just said, fuck it. You know, like I didn't want to feel anything at that point. So I ended up going from shelter to shelter, and I ended up getting into some TXS motels.
Okay.
And I was still using. I was still putting myself in dangerous situations. You know, like hanging out with individuals I shouldn't have been.
Not working at this point?
No.
Okay.
Which is, for some reason, I'm like, oh, like, what do I do? I have no money. Like, how do I live? Get a job, you know, or something. But like, and then I was, they offered me treatment court. So, and it's funny because I was still getting high, and like my lawyer was calling me, and I was missing his calls. And he's like, you're literally about to go to jail. Like, what's going on? So eventually, like, I meet up with him. He's like, are you high? I'm like, no, I'm fine. I just woke up. Like, what's good?
Yeah.
And so he was able to convince the judge to give me treatment court, which is like, thank God, honestly.
Yeah, like the saving grace almost, that opportunity.
And shortly after, like I was sworn in, and they gave me the option to either, you know, stay where I was at, and I was in like a roach-infested motel, and to like make meetings, make, you know, weekly drug tests, or go to treatment. And at that point, like I needed a way out, you know, like not something temporary. Like I needed a permanent solution. So I was like, please send me to treatment.
Yeah.
You know. And after that, I ended up going to a place called Malibu Wellness Ranch in Milford, Pennsylvania. And that was probably one of the best places I ever could have gone. Yeah. You know, they had equine therapy.
Yeah, I've heard little tidbits about the place. I don't know a ton about it, but I've heard some people that have really enjoyed their stays there.
Yeah. Like it was one of the, honestly, that propelled my recovery.
How many clients were there?
Over 60, probably.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was fairly large. They also had trauma therapy. But I stayed there for 60 days. And I ended up going to a place shortly after in upstate New York. It's kind of like a residential treatment center that was kind of like an in-between that you'd go to after an outpatient or inpatient, but before a halfway house.
Like a partial hospitalization, PHP.
Basically.
Yeah.
And I've been there ever since.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, probably one of the first few people in that place, right?
Yeah, actually, I think they had like 20 other clients
Hmm.
before me.
Yeah, yeah,
Actually, no, like I'm like 30. I was number 31.
yeah,
So, but it's been a good experience,
yeah,
I'm not gonna lie. At first, when I got there, it was jarring, going from a place that was just large as my previous facility to something so small. But it's allowed me the opportunity to focus on myself. It's given me different pathways to recovery. I've been able to practice smart recovery, Dharma recovery. Um, they allow you to go to meetings, and it's been a great experience.
yeah. I'm glad to hear from somebody who's actually been there because obviously we met taking the CERPA course, and
Mhm.
we're gonna have to at some point, start recommending places.
Mhm.
So that'll be cool. One of the things that I've wanted to touch on is like the whole system of recovery, shall we say, how certain places are basically in it for the money, and certain places you can tell truly are trying to rehabilitate people.
Mhm.
Um, and like how broken the system can be once they're moving you, because a lot of the groups that Hannah and I have been in, there's a lot of people from one of the halfway houses locally, and it's great. They're fine. They're living in that halfway house. They got all this structure, and then all of a sudden they just get put in an apartment all by themselves, nobody to watch them, nobody to help them out. And we see the relapse rate is extremely high because of that, because of all that extra freedom. Um, so, how much longer do you have at Rise?
So technically, I've graduated the program.
Okay.
I'm waiting for. Actually, I was picked for a housing lottery.
Okay,
And,
nice.
yeah,
Yep, congrats on that.
thank you. It's
Well,
been
the
long.
shortage is crazy in the area.
It
It's
is.
like the lists are so long, and just listening to people struggle to even get into anything,
Mm-hmm.
um, which I'll get into that at some point doing one of these podcasts. But I'd love to somehow get into the housing market with my background and knowing how to find places, fix them up,
Yeah.
and just the connections I have in the real estate world. I'd love to somehow bridge that gap if possible. But anyways, congratulations on that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So, what would your plan be? You got like choice 1, 2, and 3?
I do have a couple. But ideally, at this point in my recovery, I believe I'm ready to get my own place.
Yeah.
And find a job.
Do they let you apply when you're at Rise? Like, are you allowed to apply for jobs?
You can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But do you have to move out
You do.
prior to getting the job?
Yes, because you have to be able to attend the groups that are there.
Gotcha.
They work with you, and
Yeah.
they've worked with me immensely.
Okay. So your plan would be to get your own place,
Mhm.
like your own room, or with roommates?
Get my own.
Your own
Yeah.
room.
But I still would have case management,
Yeah.
which is something I do believe I would need.
Yeah.
It's something at least I'd have like some support,
Yeah.
to help me navigate the networks and resources.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and ideally, I'd love to get a job in a peer advocate field.
Okay. Have you been reaching out to places yet?
I haven't reached out. I'm waiting until I get the certification.
Yeah, that's what I've been waiting for. In theory, some point.
Yeah, but there are a lot of openings around here.
Yeah, which is kind of the cool thing, especially when they were talking about the number of expansion jobs and all that stuff. Like everywhere's looking for them now. I think going back to what I was starting to say at the beginning, it's kind of like that stigma's lifted, and people are realizing that like the mental health world, if your mental health isn't in check, everything else is kind of useless at that point.
Exactly.
Because it's one thing, I think all three of us in this room can agree on this one. It's one thing to kick the physical addiction, but like mentally to get your life back together, and because I've been able to get sober many times over 30 days here, 60 days here, 9 months there. But it's kind of like, and for me, I joke with my counselors all the time because I hate when they're right. But just like figuring out how to live a sober life is different than being sober.
Exactly.
And then it goes back to the cliche people, places, and things. And um, it's the problem is I didn't want it to be true. I wanted to be able to hang out with the same freaking people, doing the same things, just without alcohol. And for me, it just always led me right back to alcohol. Um, I'd like to get back to your college life and that little bit of fun party lifestyle that you had. Because the two girls I dated back in high school both ended up at St. Rose. And ironically, one night I think they met up at some party and I came up. But I'd been over to the St. Rose area a few times, and you guys kind of primarily partied with New Albany.
Exactly, yeah.
From what I remember, which, from what I remember, you had to pay for solo cup when you walked in the door, right?
Yeah, you had to wait.
And that was your cup for the night?
Yeah, wait in line for warm, stale keg beer.
Yeah. Now, were you part of, or did you just miss the kegs and eggs?
So, I remember I was still in school when, like, the serious kegs and eggs, like the one that shut everything down.
Yeah, I was curious if you were there for that one.
Yeah, no, I wasn't. I'm pretty sure I blacked out halfway in the day.
Okay. That seems about right. Reason I wanted to go back there is another thing I'd heard recently was at first drinking was fun, then it was fun with consequences, then it was just consequences. And pretty much how true that was. And I think similarly to you, because when you had started sharing with me a couple weeks back, I was like, I gotta hear this on a hot microphone, because we have a very similar, like, 20s till now story. They're very parallel. But for me, it was same thing. A lot of friends kind of backed off. It's not like they wrote me off, but they just, they wanted to let Justin do whatever it was Justin was gonna do. And now that I'm on this side of things, I've been getting random text messages from, a good handful of them, kind of saying that they're proud of me for this, that, and the other, and getting this whole thing off the ground. So that's kind of been cool for me. Have you been experiencing any of that?
I have. Once I started opening up about my sobriety to individuals that I hadn't talked to in a very long time, I was kind of nervous because I didn't know how they would take it, But I remember this recent conversation that I had with a friend. She was proud of me, because she was like, at one point you were just unhinged. That was like the word she used, and like I can't argue with that, because it's hard to see yourself from a third objective standpoint, And when they were telling me I was being overreactive or just acting a fool back then, I was like, you know what you're talking about. Like, I'm just doing what everyone else was doing. Like, no, I clearly I wasn't. And I've been able to mend some of the relationships that I've lost over the years. Some I still need to work on. A lot I do have to make amends for. But a lot of people are proud that I'm actually taking the sober route.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way, and for me, it was that same thing. Like, obviously, we don't see that we have a problem when we're in it, but I thought I was the best at beer pong, or can jam, or cornhole, or whatever pool, whatever it was I was playing. And the game that I used to play is, I would tell this group of people that I was trying to cut back or quit drinking and whatnot, but then this group over here had no idea, so I could, go with them and have, a couple beers at a bonfire, and then the next night be out with these guys till, 4 a.m. again, and then, save 7 days until I saw them again. But it's funny because when you talk to other people in recovery, it's like it took so much work to try to hide the amount of whatever it was we were using, in comparison to how hard it is to stay sober. It's like for me, it was hiding the freaking empties. So it's so loud, they rattle everywhere, and that was, I don't know, just looking back, and I'm dreading it because I know there's some, when I renovate this house, I know there's a bunch of empties underneath my deck when I take those decking boards off to replace them. So I used to just jump under there if I knew somebody was coming around the corner. But it's just a wild disease, and to think that, you know, because when my parents moved to Florida, they left and let Hannah look through them. There's some photo albums here of me as a kid growing up, and I'm starting to see like the person that they see
Mhm.
or visualized, and then turning into basically somebody that I didn't even recognize. Um, I can't even imagine it from like the outside perspective looking in, but I'm starting to see it because now that I've been sober for a decent chunk of time at this point, I still see some friends out there struggling, and it's like you almost want to shake them, and that's how, you know, my parents felt, or, you know, the Serpa that they were talking to, or the people in Al-Anon that they were talking to, and they're like, he's either gonna get it or he's not. Um, and I think that's another thing I'd like to convey to more of like the family support side out there is it's not that we don't love you when we're using. It's that love is there. Um, it's just the whether it's physical or mental, the need for that substance is just so overwhelming.
Exactly.
It's so hard to describe until, like, for me, when I walk into, you know, an outpatient group or like a meeting or whatnot, it's like those people instantly get it. You don't have to explain anything to them. And I think that's that whole sense of community that they talk about, um, where like we need that. That's the one. And there's that whole Rat Park thing. You ever watched that, the Rat Park video? It's, you know, the opposite of addiction is connection. And like just doing something like this, or having down the road, once I start, you know, grilling and bonfires, it's just getting us together, um, whether it's for, you know, 10 minutes or, you know, a lifetime. It's something that I know for me I'm gonna need for the rest of my life, just to constantly remind me of why I'm doing this and how I got where I'm at. So right now you're thinking about getting in the circle world.
Yeah.
Have you put any thought into like what style you want to get into? Because I think that's kind of what's interesting to me right now. We have so many options. You know, there's like peer support through like treatment courts and stuff like that, or like healing springs. And there's also the residential side or the inpatient side. You put any thought into that?
So I've been looking. Part of me wants to work in like the judicial system because like I've been there, and for me, it was a Serpa that gave me enough motivation and desire to at least want to go to shelter. And you know, she helped me get food, she clothed me, you know, just offered me love when I couldn't love myself. You know, and I think I would like to pay that forward to someone else, but I also would like to work with the homeless population because I've also been there, you know, and I feel like there's so much stigma behind individuals who are homeless, you know, whether it's like, if it's addiction, you know, people think they're lazy, people think, you know, they have no desire to better their lives. And like you said, it's not that they don't, it's just the drugs taking over every capacity, you know? So I think those are two routes I would like to go.
Yeah, I mean, I was literally just thinking about homelessness, and I love how they have to change the name of everything, unhoused, whatever you want to call them. But that goes back to what I said at the beginning, is like they came from somewhere. You know, at one point they had somebody who loved each other enough to have them. Um, and like they people that live not in a house are at one of the lowest points that you can possibly get, because that means that they don't have a single person that they could call tomorrow and say, hey, can I sleep on your couch right now? And that sense of loneliness, I can't even imagine at the moment. And all it would take is one of us, anybody. Just, and at some point I was thinking about doing, you know, obviously these episodes here, but maybe taking, because I got a set of the clip-on mics, and just sitting down and listening to their story as to how they got where, like, just tell Hannah, let's go, we're going to Saratoga right now, and just find somebody and sit down and figure out what it is that would motivate them to make that call or make that next step or go to Healing Springs or go wherever they would be willing to go just to see what their options are
Mhm.
at that point. And I do know one gentleman who used to stop into an AA meeting I attended. He enjoyed the lifestyle of living by himself out in the wilderness and being homeless. And I'm like, okay, well, that's your life choice. But I feel as though there's so many people out there that probably wouldn't even know where to turn. And don't even, because I didn't know that Healing Springs was a thing until I got into this world.
There's so many resources out there that like people do not know about.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So I think that's what I'm excited for about this whole CRPA thing, is to be one of the few people that are here, because it's really just blossoming in this whole mental health and addiction awareness. And I think it's going to be a really cool time in the next handful of years to kind of like, especially as politicians start to see things like this, and how to reallocate funding, because don't get me going on that, in a positive, more constructive manner, and like true systems, instead of just shelling money out for X, Y, and Z, and actually have a plan and a system, because I think it's a problem that's solvable. I just don't think up until now there's been an awareness or that much effort put into it. And I don't know. I think that's why I started this whole. That's why I built this room and whatnot, is to kind of get that word out there. I don't know. I'm just trying to have some fun.
You're doing a great job.
Get these stories out there. I mean, like I said, if it goes somewhere, it goes somewhere. I'm just hoping that somebody at some point will hear, because that's what kind of got me hooked on the concept, was I just started hearing things, and I'm like, I did that. That was me. Or that was me. Or, I partied in college. And, because not everybody's story. I mean, Hannah from last week, I would say out of all the people I've met, she's one of very few that was born addicted to a substance. I think most people that I've met at, I mean, at least a portion of their childhood where they didn't know what drugs were. But then you also hear the stories where, I was drinking beer with grandpa at 6 years old. So it's just interesting to me how, you could have what you call the normal childhood, fairly normal childhood, a wonderful childhood. And for me, it took that first time, and I knew something was going to be different for the rest of my life. What's going on there, 518? If you guys are anything like me, I personally love some great diner food every once in a while. Whether it's a hearty breakfast omelet or a juicy burger around lunchtime, Doubleday Diner in Ballston Spa is the perfect spot to satisfy any craving. What really makes this diner unique is the authentic Mexican section of the menu. And if you can't say quesadilla 5 times fast, you'll definitely be saying it after telling everyone you know they need to go try one for themselves. Whether you're a local looking for your new go-to spot for a quick bite, or you're in town for track season, make your way over to Doubleday Diner on the corner of Route 50 and North High Street in Ballston Spa. What's up, y'all? Justin here. Let's talk real estate for a minute. I know for a fact that the most important part of getting that house on the market are the photographs. If you don't have good pictures on the internet nowadays, you got nothing. People are clicking through listings so quickly. The photographs need to stand out, and the guy that you want to do it is somebody I've known for a while, Aaron Kinberg at 10-1 Productions. He's fabulous. He's shot my house before. I've referred him to friends. I have heard nothing but great things. I've seen nothing but great things from everything he's shot, whether it's a drone photograph of the whole property, acres, multi-million-dollar listing. He'll shoot it all. I remember when he started out with his first drone out on his boat. Up until today, you're getting nothing but a top-notch product out of Aaron. Shoot over to his website. That's 101productions.com. That's number 10, ONE, productions.com to check out everything he has to offer. Mention this podcast, and you'll get a free drone shoot with any real estate photography that you order from him. But go check him out. He's killer. He's the man. Just pull the boom closer.
Oh, you can do that?
Yeah.
Oh shit. Alright. So
Yeah.
it was so weird because there were so many people in and out of the home, you know, like that I didn't know, you know, and it created such a weird dynamic because I had to be aware of so many emotions of the people that were around me that I feel like I couldn't even process on my own, you know? So it kind of, the result of that led to me having a lack of boundaries, which ended up me, like, because of that, I became a people pleaser and I would do anything for validation or to be accepted by anyone.
Yeah.
And that also led to a lot of drug use as well. But yeah, like I said, like growing up, like from middle school to high school, I just was such a weird, awkward fucking kid.
You have to go closer to you. Yeah,
I was just like such a weird, awkward kid, you know, because there was so much of like this bullshit happening at home, you know, that, and I grew up with the mindset that what happens in the home stays in the home, you know, and because of that, I couldn't really talk to anyone about, you know, like the violence or my mother being like drunk. And
you mean like teachers and or friends?
Yeah, even friends.
All of it, yeah.
Like I remember there were times like I'd like bring a friend over and my mother would be passed out or like she'd be like hollering like one of her episodes and it'd be like, this is what like your home life is, you know? Because for me, like I always wanted to maintain like some type of like semblance, like I said, of like normalcy.
Yeah.
And I don't know, dude. Like when I went to St. Rose, that's when like I reached like the tipping point, you know? Like my drinking, I thought it was fun, like me getting blacked out, you know, puking every night. Clearly, that's not like normal at all. But I remember like the first severe consequence I had from drinking. I ended up going to New York City with a buddy of mine, and like I think it was like I don't know some type of event in Manhattan, and we were meeting up with another group of our friends, and we had paid like $100 for an open bar, but we ended up getting there like 3 hours late. So we had 2 hours left. So me and my buddy were just taking like shots.
Gotta make it worth it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I remember one of my girlfriends, she comes up to me and she's like, hey, Garrett, like, you know, so and so, he's passed out like outside of the bar. And like next thing I know, I'm like, I got this. You know, I remember opening up the doors and the flash, and then like that was it. I wake up in the hospital the next day.
In Manhattan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like Presbyterian Hospital. Apparently, I had ran off. Somehow, I ended up running into someone that I knew from St. Rose. They ended up bringing me back to the bar. My friend, like, he was still passed out. I was starting to like get wobbly and started puking all over the place. So they ended up having to call an ambulance. And from there on, I don't know what the hell happened.
Yeah.
You know, that was like my first like consequence of like, oh, like maybe I do have a problem, but I didn't want to acknowledge it, you know, because I just thought, he's got the best of me. But that had become like a regular occurrence, you know, along with like, you know, the drug use. Like alcohol was like a staple in my addiction. And for the longest time, I never considered myself an alcoholic.
Yeah.
Just
that was kind of like the cruise control button for you.
Yeah. It's weird now that like I reflect on it now, you know, like alcohol put me in the hospital multiple times. I feel like maybe I should have like reevaluated my drinking, but it just kept going.
Yeah.
You know? And like I said, like between like 20 to 23, like I literally was just putting anything I could consume into my body just to try it at least once.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I found cocaine, it just stuck. And
when you're using all these different substances, is like each substance with a different crew of people, or did all y'all just use everything together?
It was like I went through like phases of like having groups of friends. Yeah. Like when I was just having like experiencing all these psychedelics, like I was hanging out with like a bunch of like ravers and like champagne kids, and then once I started like doing primarily like drinking cocaine, I was hanging out with just like a bunch of like restaurant individuals. who are just like pros at that, you know.
Gotcha.
But like I said, like the more times I would drink, I would just act foolish, and then people would just like start pulling themselves away from me,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And I remember just like waking up and like the anxiety of like what I did the night
What I
before.
did.
Like, did I do something? Like having like reading all these texts, like, oh shit, this is what I fucking did,
Yeah.
you know. And that just kept going. Just like that was, like I said, all my 20s. Like I don't remember much of my 20s, unfortunately, just because I was constantly under influence. There was until like I said, like maybe 29 or something. Like between that, I was like drunk every day, and like I remember at one point I ended up moving. I had an apartment with a friend, and someone I used to buy from. I hooked them up, and like ended up moving in, and the relationship was no longer transactional. It was like amicable. Like we actually became like good friends, and that just sent like I was just using every day, you know.
Yeah, for me, I think it would have been around 2015 to 2017, somewhere's in there. I ended up making friends with a guy in downtown Troy, and he had opened a bar, and my fiance and I at the time, girlfriend and I at the time, were going through a couple rough patches, and when we would, I would move in. He had 7 unfinished apartments above the bar, and he's like, you can live up there for free if you work on the apartments for me. So that was, you know, I had PBR and vodka piped into the basement via truck every, Tuesday and Thursday. And I could just go down in the basement and grab whatever I needed.
And this access.
And and he had this commercial grade wood shop out back I would, in my free time, hang out in, play chess and build random stuff. But it was like, for an alcoholic, it was the dream, You're downtown, you don't have to drive anywhere. In downtown Troy, you're walking distance to, I think at the time, I counted 27 bars. And it's like, for me at that point in time, it was like, green means go.
Yeah.
To have a blast. But yeah, it's also interesting how you use the word transactional relationships can become at that point in time.
Because at that time also, like, I started like selling, I guess. No, I don't know. I said I guess. Like, like it's like either you did or you did.
Yeah.
And then all my friendships, like, it was no longer like, oh, we're hanging out to like, hang out. It's like, oh, we're hanging out because you have this, this and that, and like, I don't know. That just also like that made me feel more isolated as well. On top of like the relationships I was losing because of my drug use, So then it just became like I would just use by myself and drink by myself, and that's something I said I would never get to. You know?
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'll never drink or use during the week. Oh, I'll only do it like on a Thursday.
Yeah.
But I'll never do it.
I'll
every
never
day.
just keep getting
like,
pushed.
Exactly.
That bar.
I'm only gonna do it in a social setting. Like I broke every parameter to even like using a needle.
And then there's that whole controlling the use. Like once you've attempted to get sober, then it's like, you know what? I'll only drink at special occasions. Weddings or sporting events. Call it.
Yeah. Every day I woke up was a special occasion.
Yeah, exactly. I got 365 special occasions. Leap year is a really special one.
Oh, the sun's shining. Yeah. Time to party. Like it was just. Looking back, I can laugh, but like when I was in the thick of it, it was exhausting.
Yeah.
Just the pursuit of drugs, the using, how my body and my mind would feel after. It just altered who I was for such a long time to where I didn't even recognize who I was in the mirror.
Yeah.
And literally like when I started using meth, I started that like literally like habitually 3 years ago. Like that had such a toll on my mind. Like the psychosis I was in like terrifying. I was like hearing like my deceased mother's voice. There was a point in time when when everything was like falling apart, I was like putting towels over the mirrors because I was like, "You're two-way mirrors, and the FBI is out to get me." Like, what?
Yeah.
No, what are you doing for the FBI to get be after you? Like,
Yeah.
you know.
I've heard that from a lot of people that have talked about meth, and I mean, the only thing it does for me is make me very, very grateful that I never tasted it. Because I mean, just like every addict alcoholic, I think I'm the best at drinking, so I would have to be the best at doing whatever drug it was I put in my system.
Thing was like, when I first started it, like it made all the thoughts like silent, you know, like, but then I just kept using it. Just that silence just became loud as hell, you know. I remember there was this particular instance when I was in one of the motels and I had been using like probably like 7 days straight, and I just kept hearing voices, and I thought they were like just talking shit. And I remember I put on camo pants, like and like a muscle tee. I went out. I was like searching around the perimeter of like who's talking shit, who's talking like.
Yeah.
That like just picture that someone just like walking around like it was insane.
Where were you at this point? Where were you living?
I was in Latham at this point.
In Latham?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like it was crazy. Like I would walk literally from Latham to Troy.
Oh wow.
Like
right down
in
Route
pursuit
2?
of like because it got to a point where I had exhausted all the CDTAs. They're like, we're not gonna let you on with like no money.
Wow.
Yeah. Like
Okay.
it was bad.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And like now, like looking back on it, like some parts I can laugh about, and some parts I'm like, you know, I'm glad I'm no longer there. I remember like I still have a video of like me in full blown like psychoticness, and like I just watch it like whenever I get an inclination. I'm like, no, I'm good. I will never ever do that.
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up because right before we met at the course, I had to put my dog down, and I have a bunch of my old cell phones, and I was going through just trying to find older pictures of him, and same thing, I came across some videos of me just gone, and like remembering, I thought I was having a great time, but like looking at it now through this lens, it's like, wow. Just wow.
The clarity that sobriety has given me is something I will not take for granted.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I guess I never saw my character defects when I was in addiction because I didn't believe I had any.
Well,
yeah,
obviously,
I was like, no.
It's the rest of the world.
Yeah, clearly, like, I'm not the problem. All of y'all are the problem.
Yeah.
But, like, it's allowed me to really just, like, turn inward and just, like... The one thing I always struggled with was, like, I never accepted myself for who I was.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I always thought I was, like, an aversion or, like, I just didn't know. I felt like I wasn't meant to be here, you know? It was just, like, a weird feeling. Like, I didn't know how to live.
Yeah.
And now, like, I feel like I actually have gotten a chance to love myself, you know?
See, that's where I'm finally at, and it's one of the best feelings. If anybody out there listening is still using and is thinking about attempting the sobriety thing, just do it. Just give it a shot. It's freaking awesome. I'm loving it. I want to go back because you keep mentioning the whole identity thing, and because you grew up in Saratoga.
Yeah.
And I know you mentioned that is probably part of it. Saratoga's a weird town as far as
very, very peculiar, I guess. Eclectic, maybe.
Yeah, because you have us locals that live here, but then you get the influx of the seasonal high rollers, essentially. So if you can go into more detail about that, more like the middle school, high school identity thing.
Yeah.
Because I guess put it this way, for most of the listeners or watchers or viewers or whatever you want to call yourselves, Saratoga is very white, shall we say?
Yeah.
Keep it simple.
Yeah. I was like, it was weird. Like, I'd always get made fun of for like speaking white or acting white. You know,
Yeah.
like there are times like I was called nigger. You
Mhm.
know, and I felt like there. I mean, I just felt like there was only like a few black individuals that I could actually talk to. You know.
Well, how many kids were in your graduating class?
600, I think.
Okay, get them out.
Yeah, a lot.
And if you estimated, what percentage were black?
Less than 25, maybe.
Yeah.
Like,
That's about what I was expecting.
but like another major part was like me having grown up in a Christian household
Mm-hmm.
and me struggling with my sexuality. That's probably what made it the most difficult.
Yeah.
Because I had, like, when I say like my biggest fear was coming out and everyone disowning me. You know.
Right.
Because like they were devout, and that's something I'm out today, and like there was a time when my family was kind of like, who are you?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But now they like our relationship's good. You know. So
Yeah, I feel like we were right at the end of that major stigma.
yeah.
You and I, growing up, it was like just starting to become okay. Because I got a couple other friends basically our age where it was the same thing. It was like, I don't know, who do I tell? When do I tell them? Do I tell everybody? So yeah, I can imagine, but I've seen it and I've heard it from our age group before, and I don't know. I think it's fantastic that you all can just kind of live now and not have to worry.
Yeah.
Um,
Because like behind my identity, like I'm a human being at the end of the day, like we all are. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard in one of the AA meetings I was at, you know, like you cut us all down the wrist, we all bleed alcoholic.
Yep.
That one gave me a good chuckle. But, I mean, it's so true. Like, again, it doesn't matter who you are, this disease can literally hit anyone. Where was I? I forget what I was going to say, but I mean, for me, I just enjoy seeing so many different people beat this, essentially. I don't know. I got a few friends where like I can't say anything to them, but you know, I just want them to maybe hear something that'll make them consider what they're doing. But I mean, I know where they're at too. You know, it's like nothing you could have said to me, and if you said anything to me, I might not drink in front of you. The second I get home or the second I get out of your sight, I'm stopping at the store and going to grab this and going to grab that. And then it got to the same point as you where like the people I wanted to tell when I was struggling, I had told already. So then it turned into the hiding game. And then it turned into the drinking alone game because you didn't want them to see that you were still drinking or as much as you were or as much as I was. So that was tough, and I don't know, it just turned into the, you know, all day, every day, wake up thinking about it.
I agree with like what you said. Like, I would not have listened to anyone about my addiction, you know. And now, me having gone through it personally, I have a different perspective about what my mother was going through. You know, there's
Mhm.
all the times like I thought I was just like crying on deaf ears when it's like this has to change who she was. But it wasn't that she didn't want to get better. It's just that like addiction like clouds our values. You know, like
Yeah.
we really don't ever think about what it is that like makes us happy, like that makes us who we are, that we want to live for, you know, on a daily basis. Like when I was in addiction, I know I didn't, but now I actually have the chance to reflect. Like my family matters, my friends matter, my
Yeah.
health, my connection with other individuals, being of service, you know, being able to have my freedom, being able to travel. But just like my substance use, just it's like a veil, you know, between me and
Yeah.
all of those things. You know, it's not like I didn't want them; it's just I couldn't access that.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. No, 100%. Yeah, I feel you 100% on that one. And it's just like, it's nice to be able to prioritize things and get things done and just live, like, I guess, free life.
Mhm.
You know, not chained to anything anymore. Like, there's certain times I just wouldn't go to events if I knew there were going to be extended periods of no drinking. And now I'm just like, I'll go to whatever, whenever, with whoever. Um, but it definitely, I like the word veil. Because, like, you can kind of see what's going on, but not really. All at the same time. Um, yeah, it's strange. It's like you're pretty much married to that substance, which is why a lot of people actively in addiction or drinking will put that substance before their marriage or before their kids or before anything, because it's essentially like a marriage, so it's like a relationship, and that's one of the hardest breakups that any addict or alcoholic will go through. Um, is getting rid of that substance somehow, some way.
Yeah. Not to mention, it just changes us biochemically.
Yeah.
You know, like when this becomes the main source of my dopamine, and I can't experience that from other things, like the brain's going to seek it out regardless of whether I want it or not.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whether that's like a substance or in behavior like porn, sex, gambling, overeating, stealing, you know, like anything like that, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, and then I mean, that's where the whole replacement addictions come in. I remember when I was down in Pennsylvania, I moved from the 30-day to the 90-day facility. And at this point, it was, what, almost 2 months substance free. And I remember moving into the 90-day. At that place, you had, it was like a 7-day cell phone blackout period, but then they gave you your cell phone. And as long as you weren't in group, you could use your cell phone. And mine was freaking Amazon. Like, I had never had Prime, I never used Prime. And all of a sudden, there was like, 2 packages every day just showing up. Small stuff. Nothing crazy. But this podcast kid being one of them, ironically. Told my counselor, I'm like, I'm going to start a podcast.
It's a good purchase.
And then, like, a week later, this thing shows up. It's just like, what are you doing? And then 2 days later, they're like, dude, we can't have you. There's HIPAA rules. We can't have you recording anything that happens here. But this was not too long after I had met her. And I was just like, I gotta figure out how to record some of this stuff and get the word out there that we're not all assholes. We're kind of decent people when we're sober, for the most part. I might steal your parking spot, but hit the gas. But yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of like a hidden world that you don't really know about, whether you're quote a normie or you're in addiction. Like the world of recovery is in its own little bubble. And it's quite the application process to get in, like to get into a place called Rise or to like an outpatient or an inpatient. It takes a lot of hard work, a lot of drinking, a lot of drugs to get into those places.
You have to earn your spot.
You gotta earn your spot.
I definitely did.
Yeah, those coins ain't free. But I don't know. It's one of those things where I feel so grateful being on this side of it, being able to see everything. In the last, just like I look back now at, where was I a month ago, and like the amount I've accomplished in the last 6 months, and then I extrapolate that to the last year now at this point because I can. Uh, it's mind blowing how much I can actually get done in a day, as opposed to when I was waking up searching for the first can. That was one of the worst things. Was if you drank yourself out of your product or whatever it was the night before, you had to wake up to go find it. But like the amount I can actually get done, and like remember what I did.
Yeah.
Like I'm helping a guy out in Schenectady right now doing some work, and like I'm so productive because I'm not looking for the last tool I just put down 5 minutes ago. That was one of my biggest things. I do a job, I'd run out to the truck, I'd come back in, I'd be like, where the fuck did I put my screw gun?
I mean, I still do that. But I'm getting better, I guess.
But yeah, no, I don't know. Like I was saying, I'm just blessed to be where I am now, but I'm being very diligent to not let myself forget how bad it can get and how quickly it can get bad.
Yep.
Because I mentioned in the last podcast, it's probably going to happen on every episode I'm on, but it's literally just going to take one step or one swig of the wrong substance, and pretty much everything I'm doing right here is out the window.
Right back to where you started.
Yeah. I think that's one thing that most people don't realize is how quickly that spiral happens. Like, her and I know a person who was doing great, and I mean, I suspected for a little bit that she started, but she'd been going a lot farther than even I thought. And it's that stark reminder of it doesn't take much. It just takes the wrong storm. And, I could be back to square one or worse, or not here. But I am here. And we're doing this. I don't know what the hell it is we're doing.
We're living, man.
We're living.
We're living.
Enjoying life. So yeah, I'm excited to see where the journey kind of takes us. Like every person that comes in here is basically joining my family. If you need anything, you got the number.
Appreciate it.
I doubt there's anything I can do up on my freaking two-wheel pony out there. I'll be there in an hour and a half.
Hey, it's the effort that counts,
That's what they tell me. Progress, not perfection. But I mean, that's where I'm at today. So listen, I want to give you this. Been trying to make on your guest.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, no problem. They're coming out kind of cool. Kind of perfecting it a little bit. But I figured just something you can kind of remember this date by, where we're at. This won't be your last time on here.
I hope not.
I plan on, every few months just getting people back in here, checking in on you, seeing where we're at, shooting the crap. One of my plans is hopefully sooner than later, especially now that I'm hoping she can hang out with me for most of these. So this was just like a little starter. Hoping to get a bigger one with more mic inputs.
Okay.
And then I'll run one over to her side so she can jump in whenever she wants. Kind of have a little fun. I didn't know really what I was doing when I set all this up. I was just like, making a podcast. Let's start with square one, because that wall where the TV's hanging was not there. This was a little breakfast nook.
Okay.
So I said, I got the perfect spot. So naturally, I started with the door.
Yeah.
And I was like,
that's a pretty sick door, man.
It's always something I've wanted to do. So I'm like, if that comes out okay, I'll put the wall up. If it doesn't come out okay, I got some firewood. So it came out better than I thought. And I'm like, all right, I'll put the wall up. So I put the wall up, and then I'm like, all right. So I was looking into equipment and ChatGPT and everything. I don't know.
That's such a useful tool, man.
Oh, it's nuts. It's scary.
It's
amazing. A little creepy. I mean, but that goes back to what I was just saying. The amount I can get done with the help of ChatGPT.
And sobriety.
All of it combined is pretty impressive. But yeah, I don't know. I said I'm gonna throw a studio together. We'll get some people in here. We'll start talking, see where it goes. I don't know. We'll have some more fun sooner than later, hopefully. What I'll do is I'll kind of cut those two segments together. I might do like a little interlude transition. But I don't know. I'll send you the link. I'm gonna try to post it so that because I can do it where it automatically releases at midnight.
Okay.
So I'm thinking every Monday morning people can just wake up expecting I'm gonna click and put me a new one up.
Nice.
From that moving forward, that's kind of my plan. We'll see what happens. But I don't know. That's where I'm at. You got anything over there?
No.
Happy as a clam,
Oh yeah.
like usual. Can't wait to hear your updates off the mic. Yeah, if you want to click that little blue button. Yeah, there's sounds in here.
I like that. I like that one.
Now, what I don't know is if that records on there. These outtakes I'm putting on the end of the episode, by the way.
I like that dance one.
That was, let's see, that was. Get it. I should just do that as the intro music.
Oh, this little. Okay.
Okay, we got a laugh track. So that way when I tell a corny joke.
Oh gosh.
Alright, here, you
Is
ready?
this gonna be my new job?
Ready for it?
Yeah.
Well, see, my plan, I really want this over by you so you can push all of this.
Okay.
But I was getting terrible feedback when I ran the, I don't know, I need an audio guy.
Yeah.
I got one, I just actually have to have him come in.
Okay.
So like when I do this, what? Can't even do it with a straight face. But what's an astronaut's favorite part of the computer?
I don't know. The
space bar.
Oh my god.
See, I'm here all day. It's song 1. Okay. We just gotta get the fucking.
There's some disco balls in there.
Disco ball, lights going.
I heard that.
That's all I got. The mute button is pretty self-explanatory. I don't know what the lightning bolt does. Did you hear that?
What was that?
I don't know. Something A major? Sharp? I don't know. I hope it's actually recorded. Ooh, recording all this. Hold on. Let's have some real fun here. Recording all this. How about that?
Testing. 1, 2, 3.
1, 2. Testing. 1, 2.
Launch off in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lift off.
Oh man, I hope people actually watch this recording all of it. Whatever, I mean, you're gonna have a little fun in life, right? I don't understand. Oh, okay, so that, I don't know. Well, alright, you good? Alright, that's a wrap.